Hello, TelecomTV is here at the SDN NFV World Congress 2018 in The Hague in the Netherlands. And I'm talking with Dr. Volker Ziegler and also with Bryan Madden. Volker is from Nokia Mobile Networks and Bryan is from Intel. And we're going to be talking about the Intel and Nokia partnership 5G. So here we go. Start with you, Volker, if I might. 5G is imminent. Things are starting to happen. It's a reality. There's momentum, proper momentum behind it now rather than just hype. How's it going? How near are we to seeing things happen?
Indeed, we see strong momentum in terms of accelerated delivery. The journey, an exciting one, has started with aggressive rollout, accelerated rollout of 5G new radio, and it's a great starting point. Why is it a great starting point? It's about powering up user plane, providing a lot of additional bandwidth, but typically in a non-standalone fashion. Now this is why we have exciting opportunity still ahead of us, and that's, I think, where Nokia is positioned second to none in terms of taking the lead for use cases beyond mobile broadband. And use cases beyond mobile broadband clearly going into the domains that I would broadly associate with parameters, attributes such as low latency and reliability. And all of this actually is powered by a very powerful vision. We call it 5G Future X. It's a powerful vision about architecture and technology, but the true value from this is that it will power up new use cases and thereby, and that's the one thing that one really needs to highlight, it will provide unique opportunity for growth. So unique opportunity for growth for whom? Especially for the CSPs, the communication service providers on their journey to becoming DSP, digital service provider. So if the CSPs, DSPs today, they serve a market roughly of 1,000 billion euro today, this could be 3,000 billion euro a couple of years from now, thanks to additional traction with vertical industry, including manufacturing, robotics, health, transport, logistics, smart cities, you name it.
The lot.
The lot.
Okay. Well, if I could, let's just drill down a bit, Volker. What in your opinion are you mentioned architectures, 5G architectures, what in your opinion are the key 5G architecture challenges for operators?
You know what? It's all about opportunity. It's all about opportunity to leverage some of the cool architectural concepts, technology innovations, and many of them revolutionary nature we have come up with out of Bell Labs for a number of years. As you know, we keep driving standard as we now move into shaping and defining release 16. Release 15 is nicely done, wrapped up. But then excitingly, it's all about also innovations beyond standards and truly leveraging attributes across the architecture, across architectural domains, including devices, including massive scale access, edge cloud, distributed cloud, smart network fabric, and then excitingly linking into universally adaptive core, cognition, cognitive network OS, powering up digital value platform, not to mention security. And of course, last but not least, you could also argue openness as one key attribute. So we may not have the time to dive deep into every single one of these domains, but when you look at what 5G really gives you on the architectural side, is maybe 4 dimensions of leapfrog I'd like to particularly highlight. So what are these dimensions of leapfrog? It starts with radio. Radio in terms of when you look at the architecture in terms of chipset. So as you're aware, we launched a powerful chipset family called ReefShark, and we've worked with some great partners on that. ReefShark, it's a chipset family including RF, digital front end, and baseband. Very powerful. Why? Because it clearly revolutionizes the amount of throughput, but also its new economy in terms of power savings, because once you move to truly sub 10 nanometer scale, it also then halves the power consumption that you would have. 3 more attributes to highlight, very powerful ones, are clearly AI, machine learning. It's a pervasive architectural domain in its own right, so we apply this across the architecture, all the way to chipset, by the way, right? And in case you're wondering why would AI ML apply to radio as one example, well, you can use machine learning to enhance the way you form beams of antenna, right? Optimize antenna pattern. You can use AI ML, and we've done it. We've shown it brings benefit in terms of TCO and efficiency, the way you schedule packets. right? And of course, there's obvious examples in conjunction with many use cases and how you would optimize data in conjunction with these. The third attribute to be highlighted would be cloud native. Now, this is out of The Hague, SDN NFV World Conference. So cloud nativeness is at the heart of this conference, and rightfully so. It's at the heart of what we do in terms of transformation agenda. So attributes such as moving to microservice architecture, such as going stateless, shared data layer, are very much important. And last but not least, another key theme here in The Hague is about automation. Very powerful, especially once you apply automation and orchestration to service slicing, network slicing, which is a revolutionary concept in its own right, flexibilizing, truly building logical network on top of shared physical resource, really.
Volker, thanks very much indeed. That was, shall we say, comprehensive, and it's kept Bryan uncharacteristically quiet, but you can have a go now, Bryan. How does Nokia partner with Intel to enable 5G? Simple question, a lot behind it.
Yeah, it's actually a simple question with a very complex answer. Number one, you need to look at 5G as more than just the device. Consumers will understand 5G as the next G, but for both Nokia and Intel, it's a lot more than that. And for 5G to be successful, you need to have a transformed and cloudified network as well. And Nokia and Intel have been partnering together for many years, from cloud to core networks to the RAN, the radio access network, on technology alignment around key solutions that Nokia bring to market. And that's very, very challenging and interesting in many ways. One of the key buzzwords we hear this week is around the rise of the edge of the network. And the edge is a very important stomping ground, if you will, for 5G going forward, because a lot of the services, certainly that are going to require low latency, are going to be positioned on the edge of the network. And why that is important is because there's a lot less legacy on the edge of the network as well. So when we talk to customers like Nokia around, hey, how do we work together to create a path to cloud native, if you will, a lot of those challenges will be resolved in the edge of the network. So Nokia and Intel have been, as I said, partnering for many years. And specifically on 5G, as Volker mentioned earlier on, we're a technology provider. We've provided technology for products such as the ReefShark chipset, but also as well into their platforms that Nokia bring to market, like their Nokia Airframe data center server as well. That's really exciting for us, right? Because that brings the best of our compute capabilities from an Intel perspective, and merge them and partner with a customer who really understands how to deliver premium solutions to the market as well.
Volker, back to you. How does Nokia E2E portfolio equip operators to roll out their E2E 5G plans?
End-to-end 5G, E2E 5G is key, and it's key why? Because when you look at distributed cloud architecture, the edge being an integral piece, and by the way, a very important asset, especially as we now move to the next generation of use cases with attributes beyond mobile broadband. So why is end-to-end key? End-to-end is key once you start looking at Nokia portfolio in a powerful way. Let me start with orchestration and automation. So we have powerful solution suite around Flow One, truly end-to-end service flow optimization across cloud topology. We have powerful solutions out of a solution suite we call Cloud Band. How do you instantiate applications, and how do you manage and orchestrate? So maybe that's not by coincidence the first end-to-end piece of the portfolio I'd like to highlight, but of course the story goes on, and it's particularly relevant once you link new orchestration automation capability into this dimension of slicing, right? Tailoring the network by use case. And this is unique. Why? Because Nokia is second to none. We are positioned to do this not just for one of the domains, but across the domains. Right, so we will, and we've shown that this is real. We do it for radio edge cloud, but then also very importantly in conjunction with anyhaul, so the transport, what used to be backhaul, right, and of course any of the resource that's basically relevant for delivery of use cases. And the beauty of all this is that it's about TCO once you start automating such an approach, but it's also about time to market. And that's very powerful as well in terms of truly changing the paradigm. And maybe that's one more thing I'd like to highlight, which is really, no, it's important, and it's part of end-to-end 5G, but it's easily overlooked. It's about process change. It's about continuous integration and development. And when you look, if I may add this, Bryan, when you look at what we demo here in The Hague, the one demo that really is of key importance is this piece of automated DevOps, automated CI/CD. It'll change the paradigm. Why? Because it'll help us instantiate services and link into an orchestration and value delivery paradigm in a very different way.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, automation is a key success metric for NFV and the success of NFV. As you were talking there, I was thinking about all the trials and collaborations we've had with comm service providers, and when we look at 5G, it's a lot more than enhanced mobile broadband, right? We see there's a whole new era, if you will, of IoT and edge use cases and services that are going to be delivered by the comm service providers and enterprises alike. And a really good example of that, if you will, was a trial that Nokia did with Telia in Finland around a smart factory, which is taking that smart factory IoT industrial type of use case into the Nokia factory floor itself, right? And using Intel technology, Nokia solutions, and partnering with Telia to deliver a cloud-based 5G service to the factory floor. And that's truly outstanding. To do this in 2018 when standards had yet to be aligned on 5G, and it's a really good example of the potential of both 5G and the potential of the collaboration across the industry as well once the industry focuses on trying to solve problems.
Bryan, can we stay with you a little bit longer? How does the Intel Select Solutions program help operators to bring their solutions to market more quickly?
So we've spoken a lot, as you know, Martin, about Intel Select Solutions we launched last year, and just today we announced during a keynote at this event that the Nokia Airframe data center server is now verified as an Intel Select solution for the market. And that's really, really important because the verification and the optimization that Intel does at a base layer, compute, network and storage, and the reference architecture, and then the performance that we expect from that solution, coupled with Nokia's leadership in the market around at the application level, from application performance and solution performance, you merge both of those together. Now the operators have a really true end-to-end, highly compute-intensive, highly performant solution that is delivered from Nokia, but has the verification at the back end from Intel as well.
Okay, can we stay with the Airframe data center solution for a moment? It's launched, or launching, Volker. What about ISS for NFVI configuration? Where does that come into it? How does it work?
So Airframe is clearly launched. It's an iconic product. It's actually a solution suite. I think the one aspect I'd like to particularly mention is the fact that we have now optimized the solution also for the edge. And it's done, when you look at the hardware piece, pretty cool. It's an open compute platform. So what we therefore achieve with this is performance as you would expect from top-notch player like Nokia, with at the same time all the benefits you get from initiatives such as open compute, right? Which is time to market, openness, and shared R&D. You want to add, Bryan?
Yeah, well, and a good example of that was the trial we did in the Mercedes-Benz Shanghai Arena with Nokia and China Unicom, I believe, last year, when we looked at this use case around an optimized solution for the edge of the network, where folks that are attending a concert or a sporting event could look at different angles in pretty much in real time, in like less than milliseconds in real time, which in a big arena, that's an amazing thing, especially if you're like me and your eyesight isn't the best when you're sitting in the back rows of the stadium. But that's a really, really good example of exactly that. You build a solution like Airframe, which is comprehensive from a core to an edge network, but also can be applied to different use cases, both in comm service providers as well as enterprises, because Airframe is a product that can service both markets, if you will, as well.
Yes. And what's really encouraging, and you will love this, what has changed over the last several months, all of a sudden there's SME kind of customers coming to like Nokia booth and they go like, where can I order AirScale Airframe? And this is great news. So increasingly SMEs, and not just in Europe, worldwide, they do understand, they're more aware of the value that the performance attribute of 5G will bring. And of course, part of the attractiveness is economy of scale, right? We solve problems that are similar in nature, but across industries, across verticals. So how would you be that?
And you're listening to customers, right? A solution is not just a server. A solution is what's contained within the server. It's how the server is orientated. It's the software stack that sits on top of it. It's how it's optimized, and it's how it's integrated. And all these different elements are really important when bringing a solution to market. And the only way you can do that is by listening to your customers and understanding what their pain points are, and developing around those use cases and those areas that they need you to focus on.
That's very true. And actually, it's interesting. Why? Because when you talk to enterprise customers, some of their pain points are different.
Very different.
Right, and so we've heard top enterprise companies go like, well, we would like to be in control of some of the network, or we'd like to be in control of some of the parameter set. Now, can this be done? The answer is yes. Thanks to Nokia Solution Suite on orchestration automation, absolutely. Now, the interesting opportunity we still have is to figure out how to really build the business models and B2B to B2B kind of opportunities, but it'll happen because increasingly I think people understand what the technology opportunity is. We understand, going back to robotics, why this adds value all the way to balance sheet. So it's about building robots that come without the cable, and therefore making a significant contribution to modularizing, digitizing the factory. That's really one of the essential key factors of success.
And when you add in technology like millimeter wave in the 5G era, right, and you mentioned about enterprises, enterprises have the ability to service their own organizations, right, by adopting key technologies from the 5G era and partnering with the likes of Nokia and obviously Intel as well to deliver those solutions to market. We've been working in the enterprise space for a very, very long time, and we're seeing exactly the same pain points, same questions coming back, and saying, well, how can we partner with you, Intel, and who else do we need to bring to the table to make really amazing things happen in this 5G era? And I'm really excited about the partnership going forward. I'm really excited about all the opportunity that we have, right? It's super.
Right, question to both of you. I don't mind who picks up first, you can fight it out, but how important is the concept and practice of openness for Nokia and Intel along the path to 5G?
Well, let me start. So openness, Martin, is truly one of the key differentiators, factors of success for Nokia, and you could argue for the industry, but for Nokia, definitely it is. We identified this early. And there's different dimensions of openness, why it matters in conjunction with end-to-end 5G value proposition and transformation. It starts with Open API, very powerful. And by the way, since we're in The Hague, as the NNFE World Conference, we actually just launched another iconic solution, PAS, network exposure function, which in essence is Open API kind of game. And of course, linking into service-based architectures are very powerful in new ways. But coming back to openness, so API, Open API is one. The next important dimension clearly is about open data, data democracy, and working with these data sets in smart new ways. And then last but not least, I think that's very exciting, and we touched upon it earlier, is open ecosystems. It's working with partners beyond telco, and that then of course opens up new opportunity. And when you look at some of the vehicles we have actively leveraged, they do include open source, which then also means better time to market as well as shared R&D potentially. So it's a powerful rationale and proposition.
It certainly is. I think my view on openness is multifaceted. I think what your last point about open source is very important. Open source adoption and community involvement is really critical to innovation cycle, to really accelerating that innovation cycle. Open source doesn't mean free. Open source means innovation, and by communicating amongst each other as a community and sharing in a very open and transparent way, you help to move that innovation cycle faster. But when I look at openness, I think it's your first point around ecosystem. It's actually being honest with your partners and working in a very, very collaborative way. And it's a very cloud-like way of doing things. And there's a skill set, I suppose, challenge within our industry, where traditionally from an enterprise and cloud perspective, they've had these skills, these cloud skills, if you will, right? And those cloud skills are tools to help you be open from an engineering perspective. And we need to bring those across. Maybe it's a little element of skills transformation, if you will, that has to happen in the industry. But I don't want to talk about it as a challenge. I just think it's a huge opportunity. And we've been working with Nokia in a really, really open way for quite some time. And I think we have a very frank and honest relationship. And it's a very, very important thing for the industry. And I think the industry needs to look at that model and adopt it more broadly as well.
Volker, a last question to you. How can the technology vendor ecosystem help CSPs to accelerate their journey out to the edge?
It's all about CSPs. They are great customers and partners to work with. Why? Because they're very rational. They are rational in terms of how can I optimize investment in dimension of TCO. Maybe they overemphasize the TCO part sometimes. But the second part is truly about now going for opportunity for growth. And so how can we at Nokia support operators, CSPs on their transition to DSP? Of course, there's cutting edge end-to-end 5G portfolio to help them do that. But more importantly, I think it's about helping them build ecosystem propositions especially for the enterprise space, and leveraging performance attributes such as low latency and ultra reliability. And so just to make this real for you, Martin, we have done now a number of cool trials with selected vertical partners and telco operator jointly, right? And so one iconic example would be Hamburg Port Authority. So what we've done with Hamburg Port is cool because it's an iconic example of really a family of use cases, all the way from logistics management to traffic steering. Remember, there's all kind of trucks coming into the harbor as well, to remote sensing and monitoring. Right, so in case air pollution goes up, you stop certain vessels and or cars. So it's real cool to see this, and we have similar. Actually, you mentioned some joint work we've done in Finland, IoT. Now I'm from the German South. Let me mention also some more trials in Germany. Same similar setup in terms of digitizing factories, and again, leveraging performance attributes, but building a base for new business model opportunity and business growth opportunity for operators, and going hand in hand with the exciting transformation from communication service provider, CSP, to digital service provider, DSP.
Excellent interview, gentlemen. Thank you both very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.